If you're over 60, this video could change your life. Prostate problems are becoming more common among older men, and many don't even realize what daily habits are making things worse. If you've noticed frequent urination, trouble starting or stopping your stream, or even waking up at night to pee, your prostate may be enlarging silently. But here's the truth. It's not always about aging. It's about what you're doing every single day.
Okay, so if you're a man over 60, you've probably heard it right. Prostate issues. Things like needing the bathroom all the time, trouble starting or stopping.
Waking up at night multiple times.
Exactly. And the usual line is, well, that's just getting older, something you kind of have to live with.
Yeah, it's part of the deal. But what if it's not quite that simple?
Right. What if some of the things we do every single day, habits we don't even notice, are actually, making things worse, silently causing problems?
That's the really interesting idea we're digging into today. We looked at this source. It's a transcript from someone described as a prostate doctor on a YouTube channel called Healthy Habitat.
Okay.
And they really explore this idea that, yeah, age is a factor, sure, but maybe our habits have a much bigger impact on prostate health, potentially even leading to enlargement than we think.
Absolutely. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Let's unpack what the source says. We want to pull out the key habits, the 10 everyday things it points to.
The ones that might enlarge the prostate.
Yes. And, just as important, what are the natural, safe ways the source suggests you can tackle these things? It's about getting what the source calls the right tools and knowledge.
And it's set up as a countdown, which is kind of neat. It goes through these 10 habits, building up to what it claims is the number one, the most dangerous of all.
Ooh, okay. It sets the stage. So let's get right into that countdown. We'll start at number 10, the, let's say, less critical habit according to the source, and work our way down.
Sounds good. Let's do it. So coming in at number 10 on the list is ignoring thirst and staying dehydrated.
No, wait, that feels backwards, doesn't it? I mean, lots of guys probably drink less water specifically to avoid running to the bathroom so much.
It does seem counterintuitive, yeah. But the source argues that habit actually backfires. It makes things worse.
How so?
Well, when you don't drink enough, your urine gets really concentrated. And that concentrated urine, the source says, it irritates the bladder lining. And since the prostate sits right underneath the bladder, that irritation, that strain on the bladder, it puts direct pressure on the prostate too.
I see, so it's like a chain reaction. And the source connects this to inflammation.
Directly. Chronic dehydration is linked in the source to inflammation, the body's response to irritation. And inflammation is pegged as a key reason the prostate might enlarge. Plus, the source points out, a lot of meds older folks take can cause dehydration. So if you're on those meds and also not drinking enough, it's a double whammy.
Right.
A dehydrated body, it says, struggles to flush toxins, straining the whole urinary system.
Okay, so what's the fix then? Does the source say you need to, down gallons of water?
No, nothing like that. It's presented as pretty simple, actually. Just consistently sip water through the day, small amounts often, even if you don't feel super thirsty.
Just keep it steady.
Yeah. The goal is clear or light yellow urine. The source says this keeps the bladder calm, reduces that pressure on the prostate, helps prevent swelling. They call water a natural shield.
A natural shield. I like that way of thinking about it. Okay, moving on. Habit number 9, sitting for long hours without movement.
Yeah, this one feels pretty intuitive. Too much sitting, especially without breaks, just puts constant pressure on your whole pelvic area.
And how does that pressure mess with the prostate specifically?
Well, the source says that pressure reduces blood flow down there, including to the prostate itself. And over time, that poor circulation can lead to inflammation and potentially contribute to enlargement. It flags men who sit a lot for work, or maybe just watching TV for hours.
Makes sense. Is it just the pressure and blood flow, or is there more to it?
There's more. The source brings up pelvic floor muscles.
Okay.
It says sitting around all the time weakens those muscles. And those are the muscles you need to, control urination and empty your bladder completely.
So weak muscles mean you don't empty properly.
Exactly. You leave some urine behind. Stagnant urine. And the source calls that leftover urine a perfect environment for irritation, maybe even bacteria. That could lead to infections, which further irritates the prostate. Might even make it bigger.
Wow. Okay, so what's the fix? Just get up more.
Pretty much. The source suggests something as simple as standing up every half hour or so. Walk around for just a minute or two.
That doesn't sound too hard.
No. Gentle stretching, A quick walk around the room, even just shifting in your seat, helps. Improves blood flow, relieves that pressure. There's a great quote in the source. Don't let a quiet lifestyle create a noisy health problem later.
Noisy health problems, that sticks with you. Okay, habit number 8. Drinking too much caffeine. That's a big one for a lot of people. Morning coffee, tea.
Oh yeah, coffee, tea, even energy drinks. The source flags caffeine as a major irritant for both the prostate and the bladder.
Why is that?
Well, primarily caffeine is a diuretic, meaning it makes you produce more urine faster. So your bladder fills up quicker, works harder.
And it gives you that urgency feeling, right? Gotta go now.
Exactly. The source says it causes bladder muscle contractions, hence the urgency, maybe even leakage, which is tough if your prostate is already sensitive.
Okay.
But there's another thing. Caffeine can also tighten the muscles at the neck of the bladder.
Tighten them?
Yeah, making it harder to open fully when you try to go. So you might not empty completely.
So it adds to that leftover urine problem we just talked about with sitting.
You got it. More leftover urine means more potential strain and irritation for the prostate. The source basically says this habit leads to more inflammation, more bathroom trips, more discomfort overall.
So does the source say ditch the coffee entirely?
No, not necessarily. The focus is on moderation. Like, one small cup might be totally fine for a lot of guys.
But maybe not 3 or 4.
Right. It adds up. The suggestion is maybe try switching to decaf or an herbal tea after that first cup. Give your prostate a bit of a break later in the day. It's about balancing enjoyment with long-term health, you know?
That seems pretty reasonable. A practical tweak. All right, number 7, eating spicy and processed foods daily.
Yeah, flavorful stuff, but the source warns it can be irritating, especially spicy ingredients, chili, black pepper, hot sauce. Regularly eating that kind of thing is said to increase inflammation systemically, including in the prostate.
So a fiery curry every night might not be the best idea.
Probably not ideal if you're having issues, according to the source. An occasional spicy meal might be okay, but daily, that could cause chronic irritation, especially if the prostate's already enlarged or sensitive.
And what about processed foods? What's the issue there? Chips, frozen meals?
The source is pretty blunt about those, calls them silent damage. They're often loaded with preservatives, artificial flavors, tons of sodium, unhealthy fats.
And how does that impact the prostate?
Well, high salt increases water retention, which adds pressure to the urinary system. But bigger picture, the source links processed foods. It mentions things like chips, canned meats, frozen dinners, fast food, to disrupting your hormonal balance, particularly testosterone levels.
And hormones are key for prostate size, right?
Exactly. So you've got potential hormone disruption, plus general inflammation from all the artificial stuff and unhealthy fats. The source ties a diet heavy in these foods to inflammation, weight gain, and hormonal imbalances, all flagged as risk factors for prostate enlargement.
Okay, so the fix is basically eat real food.
That's the gist of it. Focus more on natural, anti-inflammatory foods, leafy greens, berries, healthy fats like avocado or olive oil. Try to make meals from fresh sources more often than opening a package.
Simple advice, but maybe not always easy to follow. Okay, habit number 6, holding your urine for too long.
We've all done it, right? Stuck in traffic, in a meeting.
Sure.
But the source warns that making a habit of this can cause silent damage over time. When you resist that urge, your bladder stretches way out, gets strained.
And the prostate is right there underneath.
Taking the pressure, exactly. That constant pressure from a super full bladder irritates the prostate, can make it swell up. The source also notes seniors might be more vulnerable here as those bladder and prostate muscles can weaken with age.
And does this also lead back to not emptying properly?
It sure does. Regular stretching the bladder like that weakens its muscles over time, so when you finally do go, it might not empty completely.
Leaving that stagnant urine again.
Yep. Which, as the source puts it, is a perfect environment for bacteria, inflammation, maybe infections. All bad news for the prostate, potentially contributing to growth. Plus, it points out just being uncomfortable like that wrecks your sleep, affects your mood.
Yeah, being desperate for the loo at night is no fun, so the fix is just go when you need to go.
Basically, yes. Listen to your body.
Yep.
Don't put it off, especially if you want better sleep or less nighttime urgency. The source says going when you first feel that signal helps avoid bigger problems down the road. It talks about the bladder and prostate being a team. Stress one, you stress the other. Don't ignore nature's call.
Heed nature's call. Got it. Habit number 5, smoking or inhaling secondhand smoke. The source really doesn't mince words on this one.
No, it calls this one of the absolute worst habits for prostate health. The chemicals in cigarette smoke are just nasty. They constrict blood vessels, reducing blood flow everywhere,
Including the prostate.
including the prostate. They also ramp up inflammation and directly damage the delicate tissues there. Plus, smoking increases oxidative stress that's like cellular damage, which makes it harder for your body to repair itself.
And the source mentioned this damage happens faster in older adults.
That's what it claims, yeah. The longer you're exposed, the worse the impact on the prostate. Smoking also uses up your body's antioxidants, your natural defense system against things like prostate enlargement.
Wow. And it's not just smoking yourself, right? Secondhand smoke too?
Definitely. The source makes point of saying even if you quit years ago, being regularly exposed to secondhand smoke now can still be harmful.
So for someone who does smoke, what's the advice from the source?
Talk to your doctor about quitting, straight up. It mentions support tools are available, nicotine replacements, maybe even natural therapies. And it stresses the benefits kick in fast. Like within weeks, circulation can improve, inflammation can go down, letting the prostate start to heal.
That's encouraging. And for non-smokers?
Avoid secondhand smoke completely. Simple as that. The source frames this decision as one that could add years of better prostate health. It's never too late to protect yourself.
Powerful message. Okay, habit number 4, skipping regular health screenings. Why is this considered so dangerous by the source?
Because, as it points out, prostate problems, especially enlargement, can creep up silently. No obvious symptoms for a long time.
So guys wait until something feels really wrong.
That's the common pattern, yeah. But the source argues regular checkups are key because they can catch things, early inflammation, infections, maybe even growths before they cause major symptoms or pain.
Things like the digital rectal exam or the PSA blood test.
Exactly. Those are the examples given, described as quick, non-invasive for the blood test, and potentially life-saving. Skipping them means you miss that window for early detection.
And the source acknowledges that some guys find these exams, or even talking about it, uncomfortable.
It does. It gets that. But it really emphasizes, speak up sooner rather than later. The earlier something is found, the more options you usually have, often starting with lifestyle changes, maybe natural approaches.
Instead of jumping straight to meds or surgery.
Right. Delaying lets small issues potentially become big ones, like suddenly not being able to urinate at all or getting serious infections. The source basically calls seeing your doctor at least once a year about prostate health the smartest habit any man over 60 can adopt. Proactive care.
Catching things early equals more options. Makes total sense. Now, around this point, the source brings up a specific tool, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It mentions something called the Senior Health Tracker app, described as a mobile app designed to help seniors track symptoms, fluid intake, bathroom trips, even get reminders for doctor's appointments.
And why highlight a tool like that here?
The rationale given in the source is that doctors can help you more effectively if they have consistent data. How are your habits and symptoms trending over time? It suggests there's a need for tools like this, specifically for older men, which it claims are lacking. This app is presented as filling that gap.
Okay.
The source also states it's free to try and mentions a link is available in the original video's description.
Got it. So just reporting that neutrally is part of the source's content. Okay, let's move to habit number 3.
Eating too much red meat.
Right. The source links eating a lot of red meat, especially processed kinds like bacon, sausage, deli meats, directly to increased inflammation. And that includes inflammation affecting the prostate.
How does that work according to the source? What's the mechanism?
It points to a couple of things. The saturated fats, for one, but also the chemicals used in processing meats. These are said to potentially disrupt hormone balance and increase that oxidative stress we talked about, which inflames prostate tissue.
It also adds that digestion tends to slow down as we age, and red meat is harder, takes longer to process. This can contribute to weight gain and put more pressure down in the pelvic area.
So it's the fats, the chemicals, and the digestive load. What's the recommended fix? Go vegetarian?
No, the source doesn't say that's necessary. It's more about cutting back significantly, maybe aiming for red meat just once or twice a week instead of frequently.
And swapping it up for other things.
Exactly. Swapping in leaner proteins, fish, beans, lentils, grilled chicken, and focusing on more fiber-rich, plant-based meals. Things like lentil soup, veggie stir-fries. These are presented as much better for prostate health and easier on digestion. It's about finding a smarter balance.
A smarter balance.
Okay.
Habit number 2. Carrying too much belly fat. The source says this is way more than just about looks.
Oh, absolutely. It's framed as a major warning sign for prostate trouble. Because, according to the source, that fat around your middle isn't just sitting there, it's metabolically active, meaning it actually produces inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals circulate through your body, reach the prostate, and cause this low-grade chronic inflammation that contributes to enlargement and urinary symptoms.
Wow, so the fat itself is actively creating inflammation.
That's the argument, yes. The source directly correlates a larger waistline with a higher chance of having an enlarged prostate, needing to pee more at night, even erectile difficulties.
Jeez. Any other ways belly fat causes problems here?
Yeah, a couple more. It throws off your hormone balance, specifically the ratio of testosterone to estrogen, which is known to influence prostate size. And then there's just the pure physical pressure. Abdominal fat pushes down on the bladder and other pelvic organs, adding to the strain on the prostate.
So it's hitting you with inflammation, hormone changes, and physical pressure. A triple threat indeed. What's the advice for tackling belly fat? Crash diets.
No, the source emphasizes slow, steady progress. Simple, sustainable habits, like adding a short daily walk, watching portion sizes, maybe cutting back a bit, reducing sugary drinks and snacks.
Small changes add up?
That's the idea. The source says even losing just a few pounds can bring noticeable relief from urinary symptoms. It suggests aiming for a healthy waist size, generally under 40 inches, is mentioned as a target, as a great long-term strategy. Trimming that fat reduces stress on the whole system, including the prostate.
It really drives home that belly fat isn't just passive weight, it's actively stressing your body. Okay, finally, we're at number 1. The habit the source called most seniors ignore, and the most dangerous of all, not managing chronic stress.
Yes, chronic ongoing stress. The source calls it a silent inflamer and puts it right at the top of the list for impact.
How does stress inflame the prostate? That connection might surprise people.
It probably does. The source explains that when you're constantly worried, tense, anxious, your body pumps out stress hormones like cortisol.
Right, fight or flight stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But when it's chronic, those hormones create widespread inflammation. They increase muscle tension, including in the pelvic floor, and they disrupt the delicate hormonal balance that affects the prostate.
So stress hormones have a direct physical effect down there.
That's what the source argues, that chronic tension in the pelvic muscles can restrict blood flow and irritate nerves in the area. Stress also weakens your immune system, making it harder to deal with any inflammation or infection that might crop up in the prostate. And the source notes, seniors often carry a lot of stress, quietly, money worries, family issues, health concerns, it all adds up. And the result, according to the source, more frequent urination, pelvic pain, urgency, and potentially a swollen prostate gland.
Wow, so stress isn't just in your head, it's physically impacting the gland itself. What's the fix for this number 1 habit? Is it even fixable?
The source presents it as absolutely controllable and maybe the most powerful lever you have. It suggests simple daily practices, things like deep breathing exercises for a few minutes, light exercise or stretching, even just 10 minutes of quiet time.
Things to calm the system down.
Exactly. It also calls laughter, staying connected with people, and getting good sleep medicine in this context. The reason it's ranked number 1, the source says, is because managing stress effectively helps your body heal from the inside out. It's described as a powerful step that can actually help shrink symptoms and potentially stop prostate growth naturally.
Healing from the inside out by tackling stress. That is a powerful thought, especially for something many view as just mental.
It really is. The source positions it as potentially the single most important thing you can do, not just for your prostate, but for feeling calmer and more comfortable overall.
So looking back at this whole deep dive, the big takeaway from this source is pretty clear, isn't it? Prostate health after 60 isn't just something that happens to you.
Not passively, no.
According to the source, your daily habits, I mean, everything from water intake to sitting to food, checkups, and even stress, they all play a massive role as whether your prostate stays healthy or starts causing those noisy problems.
And the source really hammers home that you have agency here. These aren't forces beyond your control, they're habits. You can change them.
Yeah.
And the suggestions aren't about radical overhauls. It's about taking these powerful steps, as the source calls them, realizing that even changing just one habit can start to make a difference. Consistency, it says, is really the key.
Which leads us nicely to that final provocative thought the source leaves us with. Something for you, the listener, to really chew on.
Yeah.
Could it be that tackling something often pushed aside, like actively managing your chronic stress, might actually be the single most impactful thing you do for your prostate, potentially healing your body, as the source says, from the inside out?
It's a compelling question. The source encourages you to think, which one of these habits we discussed today feels most relevant to you? Where could you start making a small change, starting now?
Because, as the source puts it, when you take care of your prostate, it can take care of you in return. And it's never too late to start healing.